Are domain names a liquid asset? Hey, Chris Zuiker with Media Options. Help companies acquire the raw, unfiltered version of the brand. Work on some of the best domains on the planet. Check it out over at MediaOptions.com and check out ChrisZuiker.com and do the daily podcast over there. My thought today is this: are domain names a liquid asset? Liquid asset. I was thinking about just a couple different scenarios that happened to me this last week or this week. And I was just trying to break it down in my head. Okay, so let me tell you what happened, okay? So the first thing is this. Someone came to us with a 5-letter domain name. It's a one-word domain name. It's a good domain name. And we told them that, hey, we would put the value in like the $250,000 to $350,000 range, okay? We said, but listen, if you need instant liquidity, we can get and probably get an offer to you within the next week for about $125,000 to $150,000. So if you have a project you're looking to do, if you have you need to leverage this asset to something else, I mean, you can get liquidity, okay? Like I can get you $150,000 tomorrow, probably, at least within a week. I'd probably get you around that range. I'm like very, very confident. Another scenario came where there was someone who had a 3-letter domain name and he needed liquidity. And so he ended up, basically kind of selling a portion of that domain name to somebody else. Like at a fraction of the value. Okay, so he got liquidity. Now the flip to this is that I see a lot of like posts on LinkedIn, a lot of posts on Facebook, and in the general domain forums with like domains that people have sold. Okay, so like, hey, check out this, these 5 domains this person sold, and I sold 5 domain names for $100,000. And first of all, like, awesome that you're sharing that, because I think that is like, it's cool to see that. It's good to see. From a perspective of like what's selling and the values things are selling at, okay, domain names are selling at, so that we can have a better understanding and better comparisons for domain names that you may own or I may own. Okay, so truly appreciate that. But what happens is that it's like that social media, the negative aspect of social media, and that is that like everyone is living a better lifestyle than you. Everyone is more successful than you. But what you don't see is that some of these people, they own thousands of domain names. Okay, and so they're just kind of showing you the best domain names that have sold, and maybe they own 100,000, 200,000 domain names. I don't know. Maybe they own 5,000 domain names. But like, there's a mixture in there between quality and quantity as far as how successful they are, and really valuation. Like, what's the price? So, for instance, you may see on some of the posts that people are selling domain names like all the time. Now listen, like that, their strategy may be to sell it to wholesales. I don't know, right? Strategy may be to sell it to retail. There's a different time frame for each of those. There's a different liquidity aspect for each of those. Liquidity aspect for what you're going to be able to get for that domain name. Listen, it's no different than any other industry, okay? If you're looking to get full retail for a car, then listen, you're going to wait a little bit longer, right? Versus like running the sale with like $15,000, $20,000 off. I mean, of course, like you're getting more people in the door. So this thought of liquidity can be very misleading. Now, here's what I can tell you. We sold in this last 2 months, we sold 2 branded domain names that was like the raw essence for a company, okay? The raw version of their brand. The keywords, there was like over, let's say, 10 companies in each of these domain names that had raised over $1 million. Some of them are in the hundreds of millions of dollar range, okay? Hundreds of millions of dollars that they've raised. Now, we brokered them for like 3 months to 6 months, and we sold them, okay? Liquidity, that's liquidity. Does that always happen? No, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it takes longer. One domain took me 3 years to sell. Another domain took me a week to sell. So I mean, it like a lot of liquidity depends on timing, depends on strategy, depends on valuation, But specifically, I want to address the lower tier of domain names. Okay, the tier of domain names that maybe is like 3 words, or maybe it's like a made-up word, or maybe like there's like a word with like something added onto it. Liquidity here is about timing, okay? It's about timing. And timing in the sense that, yeah, it's timing for the company. The company needs to see it as strategical. They need to see it like as committed. They have to have the funds and like the perfect like mixture for them to come and make the offer that's within kind of the range of your domain name. But if you think about it like this, okay, the market, there's this bell curve, and I like bell curves because they make sense to me. Like maybe it's from my MBA, but like there's a bell curve for most industries. Okay, there's things that are on the far side. That's like, let's say it's way below value and for your domain name, and you can like sell it quickly. Okay, then there's that middle range of value where most domains sell of your caliber, and then there's like the top end of the range where it's just like, man, that was phenomenal. Another galaxy. So for example, here that would be voice.com. Okay, voice.com was over $30 million. That would be on the far right-hand side of that bell curve, okay? And so it's timing, okay? It has to like be in there. But what I mean by timing is that you may only receive an offer of that magnitude once in your life. You may receive it every 3 to 5 years. And so this thought of liquidity is like, yes, there's the wholesale market and you might be able to get something, but as you move down in the tier in domain names, the wholesale market it drops off the cliff as far as the percentage that they're willing to value your domain at, because it's like there's just more perceived equity in that domain name. So let's take a domain name that could be worth maybe $10,000, okay? $10,000 to $15,000. If you sold it at retail, maybe even $35,000 if you sold retail. Listen, the wholesale market may be $1,000, okay, maybe $1,000 to $1,500. Where before in that example that I gave you, where it's valued at maybe in the 350 range, the wholesale value could be $150,000 because that depend upon the strategy of the investor of the wholesale offer. Like they may hold out just for that perceived equity. They may hold out for $750, $1 million. I don't know. Okay, but what I do know is that there's this compounding difference between the two. And so what I see, what happens a lot is that owners of domain names that necessarily aren't the highest caliber, okay, I mean, that's fine. Listen, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of business. There's actually more business done, more transactions done at the lower end of the pyramid. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and look at my video about 4 or 5 videos ago. It was on the market for domain names, where I break out the market for domain names. Listen, like liquidity is about timing, and it's this thought that like you may never receive another offer ever again. Like even though there's like inherent value in your keyword, you may never receive it. Like it could be years and years and years. And so it's one thing to say, and I think the people in the domain community jump up and down, say there's liquidity to try to get a sale. And listen, I'm here to tell you, like great domain names sell. It's a matter of timing. Okay, it's a matter of timing. Whether that's 6 months to a year when they come on the market, like they do sell. I can tell you that because we've sold a lot of domain names. But on those lower tier domains, I don't want to give the wrong impression. Like if you have an offer that comes across, it's a good offer. Like that's something you have to consider. It's one thing to have, hey, here's the value I'm going to sell that at, and I hope you do have that, because that's really one of the biggest aspects to the continual and being successful in this business is saying, hey, this is my limit. You don't meet it, I'm not going to sell it. And you need that commitment to the sale of your domain name in order to get good sales. You have to have it. The example I gave is that in order to get $30 million, they had to turn down $29 million for voice.com. It's actually Frank Schilling said that in Lisbon at the NamesCon event in Lisbon, and I was like, yeah, what a great thought. They had to turn down, could you turn down $29 million? Because I guarantee you, like they probably never would have received another offer in their lifetime for $30 million for voice.com. But they were able to do that because they had a commitment. They had the value. They knew what this was worth for them if they held it. Okay, they knew that for them, they could launch a business and that it could be worth $30 million for them. Okay, Chris, probably saying, Chris, you're confusing me. Liquidity, like, is there not? Go back to that story, okay? In that example, the one word domain name, they're like, although it was worth $350, we said, hey, we can get you an offer like tomorrow for $150, and if we market it for 6 months, we can sell it for $300,000 to maybe $250,000. I'm pretty confident. I'm almost like 99% confident it sells in that time frame. If it doesn't, maybe it takes a year, but it's going to sell. It's going to sell because when you have visibility, when it's the right value, and you get in front of the right companies, just that combination, it means there's options for that company. But on the lower tier domain names, like there's just not as, I mean, it's just, there's, it needs to fit within a much tighter strategic element, okay? And I'm just thinking some of the domains that are just marketing campaign domain names. It's a great domain name, but it doesn't really make a great brand. And so it's a marketing campaign, maybe it's a lead generation site. So think about that. Think about that, okay? If you pass on the perfect offer, you may never see another offer again. There is liquidity for great domain names, and think about the domain valuation. Think about that formula: visibility, valuation, and viability. Okay. If you're looking for more information, more strategies, go on over to chriszuiker.com/survey, and you can take my survey there. It's a 5-question survey, and it's going to lead you to 3 different major strategies for companies on domain names. It's free. Listen, no email required. Go on over there, check it out. I think it's worth your time. And if you found any value in this, share it up. And go on over to the video I did on domain name value, because I think if you're curious about how I look at values, you're gonna want to watch that video. It's a great video, and I really lay it out in depth, the value and how to value a domain name. You just got done listening to another episode of .com Strategies. Check us out online at chriszuiker.com and at mediaoptions.com.